Rebecca owns 6 Cybertrucks. One for every cat she has. Not wrong. Not wrong. Not wrong. I got 6 Cybertrucks, baby. Because we're in America. Cancel me, bro. Cancel me. What's up? What's up? Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? It's a beautiful Tuesday. 6? Yes. Hobo Smug Blunt. 420 is correct about the state of my life. That person on the internet knows more about me than me. That is true. Hey, what's up, Bronson? Bronson Frey. Into the fray. What's up, Joe D? How you doing, Joe D? Not Jody. You're Joe D. Because you got that D. What's up, Marisa Islas? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? We're looking for those islands. Islas. Islas. Is that what islands? Am I white? Are you trans? Are you white? Leon Kennedy. Have you seen like those DeviantArts of Leon Kennedy where he's like 400 pounds? He's got some cake, bro. He's got some cake. Sure. Sure. Oh my goodness. How are you guys doing? You guys awake yet? What time is it? Is it already afternoon? It's 11:12. It's still morning. I'm still technically allowed to say that. Well, I can actually technically say good morning even at 8 p.m. If I really wanted to. No one's going to stop me because freedom of speech. You haven't? Google it. Actually, don't. I massaged my forehead a little too much. You know, like when you're like trying to find like a spot because you've had surgery on your face? You know, something very relatable that chat can relate to. Can you do a sleep stream? No, I just woke up. Actually, I woke up like 2 hours ago, but that's okay. What are you guys up to? What are you guys up to? We're just chatting. Today's like a just chatting stream. It's called a just chatting. Like we're just chatting. You know, you get it? How old are you? I'm 38. Wouldn't you like to know? It's Tuesday. We got to stir the pot. We got to go live. Every now and then you got to go live. Just stir everything up. Stir up some drama. Hey guys, have you heard the latest drama? I heard that there was something that I saw when I clicked on the website. That website that you use. And there was something on the front page. Can you believe that person? And can you believe that other person? That drama? Oh my god. I can't believe that drama happened. Whatever that drama was, I don't even know about it, but we're going to talk about it. Because I'm a streamer. So when person A was involved, person B was also involved. And I actually know person B, but only through person C. And so because of person C... Now I have some drama about person C. But I only know about person C because of person D, so... But you know, me and person D... go way back. Okay, like we're OG, right? Like, let's talk about that. Remember when we played Overwatch? Overwatch? Do you guys remember when we played Overwatch, drinking Pepsi? Do you guys remember that? That was awesome time on stream. You guys remember the merch that I was selling? Well, we have new versions of that merch on the merch store. Okay, so now that you've heard about the drama, now you can eat some Pepsi with the new merch. Okay? You guys have no idea. Okay, those Overwatch streams were the best streams we've ever done, and we're never gonna reach that point again. But we're gonna milk it for the rest of our lives. Okay, so, wait, who is she talking about? Exactly. See? You and I, we got synergy. Okay, like, we know what's going on. Me and you are special. Me and you have a one-on-one parasocial relationship. There's no other explanation for what's going on. How can I know the things that you want to hear? There's no other explanation. Absolutely no other explanation. That it has to be that we're destined to be together. That we are besties. Because I say the things that you expect me to say. It's almost like we're connected in a one-on-one parasocial relationship. It's like we're hanging out, you know? Especially if you buy my merch. And then, you know, hey guys, by the way, I know that you guys are interested in like investing. So I probably shouldn't say this. But I know you guys know about the blockchain. Okay, and before you cancel me, mine's different. Okay, so you guys want to buy Rebecca coin right now. Okay, because I mean, I shouldn't be telling you this, but now's the time to buy it because it's going up. Okay, you guys have no idea. You guys better buy Rebecca coin right now. It's an investment in your future. You want to buy a new car? You want to buy that Ducati? You want to buy a McLaren? Okay, so like invest in Rebecca coin today. And I promise you, because I'm telling you, you're going to get that Ducati. You're going to get that McLaren. In fact, you're going to get that McLaren back from your ex. Okay, she's going to like buy the Rebecca coin too late. And she's going to need to sell it back to you. Okay, so like, hear me out. Hear me out. Because I'm telling you, you need to invest in Rebecca coin right now. You know, it's going up. Oh my goodness gracious. She's a witch. Yeah, guilty. I got magic powers. They're rooted in evil, but I use them for good. Believe me. I'm telling you. Oh, shit. This song. What's up, Kojak? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? You asleep? Get some coffee, bro. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You guys, were you here for the drama? Were you not here for the drama? Okay, that person said some things, and I heard that through person B, but I only know person B through person C, okay? And also, I lied. I actually only know person C through person D, but me and person D go back to the days of Overwatch, okay? And remember those streams? Remember how good my streams were back then? Okay, do you remember those times? Because I'm gonna milk that for the rest of my career. And you remember when we drank Pepsi? And you bought my merch? Remember that? Well, I have some new merch, okay? And you better buy it because it's selling out soon. And you didn't hear this from me. And I know what you're saying, like when you hear the word blockchain, but hear me out, okay? Rebecca coin is going up. Okay, you didn't hear that from me. Okay, so you better buy it now. Okay, because you're gonna be able to buy more merch with it. Pay Gorn? How much do I owe him? Hey, what's up, Monk331? How you doing, buddy? How you doing? You having a good Tuesday morning? You having a good morning? You hanging out with Rebecca? Having a good Tuesday morning? You hanging out with Rebecca? Having a good Tuesday morning? Rebecca coin? Exactly. You guys get it. You guys get it. You totally get it. Which is why you need to buy my merch. Okay? You can either invest in my merch or you can invest in Rebecca coin. Okay? And you're the smart viewer. You know that the blockchain is a scam. But you also know that certain things like Beanie Babies and Magic the Gathering cards rise in value. So that's why you should buy my merch, because it's going to appreciate in value if it's mint, if you don't open it out of the box. So you have to buy two. You have to buy one for display on your live stream so that you know you were an early investor. I mean, so that you know you were an early fan. And you display it on your stream, my merch. And it even makes the minted version that you didn't open up out of the box. It makes that increase in value. Okay, so I know that you're not going to fall for crypto. Okay, but physical goods, that's real. Okay, so you're a smart consumer. You're not an investor. You're a collector. What's up, Tarun Pandita? How you doing? The One Piece is real? I mean, it's real people. It's people! One Piece is people! One Piece is people! That's the One Piece. Don't you guys get it? It's not about the Grand Line is the collection of people. Do you guys get it? You're creating one collective of people. Do you guys get it? You guys don't get it. You became a millionaire after selling Bitcoin? I mean, I'm sorry that you invested $500 million in Bitcoin. Yes, Green Soylent, otherwise known as Soylent Green. Little known fact, it's actually manufactured under the name Green Soylent. But it's marketed as Soylent Green, You know those marketing types. You're a millionaire in fart coin? Yo! I wish I didn't sell all my fart coin. All my fart coin, I sold it when it was like 5 cents. And I only had like one share. Okay? Yeah, because you know, crypto coin works in shares, you know. You don't speak English? I'm telling you. Rebecca coin is going to appreciate in value, and you need to buy now before it goes up. And you didn't hear that from me. Okay, you did not hear that from me. I probably shouldn't even be telling you this. I probably should not even be telling you this, but it's about to go up. Do you understand? I know how to get things to go up. You're learning? You better learn, because you're a learner. You're learning. You better get to the learning, because I'm here to teach you. You better buy Rebecca coin today. Okay, okay, my friend. You better buy Rebecca coin today. Hey, don't cancel me. I think I'm part Irish. I heard from somebody. Apparently. Hey, isn't today St. Patrick's Day or something? Yo! I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Don't you be talking back to Rebecca. She knows what she's talking about. Okay, Rebecca's a really smart investor. You better listen to her. Because she knows what she's talking about. She knows what she's talking about. Yeah, it's like the Canadian version. She knows what she's talking about. Is that racist? Wait, I'm white, so I guess I'm allowed to do that. What is up, you guys? We're having a good morning so far. I'm just having some coffee. We're still on... Guys, you have no idea how much coffee we have left. Okay? Are you manic? You don't know me. You have no idea what my manic self looks like, okay? I wouldn't even be live streaming if I was manic. That's how bad it is. You guys understand that if I'm streaming, I'm perfectly sound of mind? Like, you guys get that? Are we on the same page here? Can we make some content, please? Wait. I need to speak to my manager really quick. Yeah. Do they get it? Like, do they get it? Like, I'm like making content? Like, do they get that I'm like an actress? Okay, like, can I stop pretending yet? Can I stop? Like, okay, my contract isn't up? Okay, I gotta go a little longer. Okay. Okay, yeah, guys, we're gonna have to milk content a little bit longer because my contract, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but my contract isn't up yet. So, yeah, how's that baseball game? You guys understand that if I'm on my live stream, that I'm like perfectly collected and like calm and collected, so to speak? Like calm and collected and like I have like a focused mindset. Like, you guys understand that? Do I have to explain that? It's like having to explain the joke, right? Like, you know, like if you have to explain the joke, it's not funny. So I guess that's my fault. I guess it's my fault if I'm not explaining things and I'm not good enough at making you guys laugh. Okay, you guys think that this is real. You think that when I act crazy and go, you think that's real? Like, wait, is this your first day on YouTube? Like, do you guys not understand what we're doing here? Like, I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you, but people on the internet are like making content. And if they're not, they're new. Like, if you're like trying to be like a real person on the internet, like, you're still figuring stuff out. Which, you know, honestly, yeah, I guess to be fair, I do put a pretty good amount of myself on the internet, you know, authentically. But nobody really likes that. I mean, I guess people do, but like, not the kind of content I want to make. Do you understand? Like, there's a disconnect between what my audience wants and what I want. My audience wants authenticity, but authenticity requires me bleeding in public, basically. And I don't want to, that's not a sustainable content model. Not everyone is inside your head. True. Actually, I mean, you would know because you're a figment of my imagination. No, I mean, I guess I kind of shot myself in the foot. You know, these past 6 years, I've been going live on stream, and I've been sharing like a lot about my life. And so I guess I kind of, you know, dug myself in quicksand with that one. However, I think it's always okay to pivot, and I could just pivot overnight, but I'm not quite where I need to be. So we kind of have like 1 foot in the quicksand, 1 foot in the Rebecca coin. Okay, so let's get to the Rebecca coin. Like, I want to invest in Rebecca coin. Okay, you know, before you laugh at crypto coin, like, if you really think about it, what really is the blockchain? Are you really investing in a coin, or are you investing in my product? What is my product? I guess that's what we're here to figure out. I guess that's like when you're investing, when I say like Rebecca coin, what I really mean is like my content and like my clicks, you know, how many people are watching my channel. Like, I guess that's like how you should see like crypto, right? You can only really sell crypto if you already have clout, right? So like, if it makes sense though, I mean, it's not like valuable. I mean, it's valuable to like some, you know, rug pulling, you know, scammers, but you know, I'm not one of those. Okay, so you can invest in my coin. Hey, we got some early investors already, and it's taking a little bit of time to coagulate, but you know, we got some early investors. Okay, and I think it's going to pay off for them. You know, they're tired of seeing this background. They're tired of seeing what this streaming setup is doing to me, and they're investing in me. So, you know, if you really want to think about it that way, from like a content standpoint, you know, I have people investing in my coin, right? And there's people who believe in what I can do, and they're going to be helping with that pretty soon. I don't want to speak too early. I'm trying to avoid talking about personal life stuff. I'm trying to shift my content towards a different place. I hope that my long-term fans, my long-term viewers, whatever you want to call yourself, just people, I hope that you guys can appreciate that and respect that. It doesn't mean I'm changing. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stop being me. And honestly, there's going to be a balance. But I also want you to understand that the authentic version of me that a lot of you have learned to appreciate is not very sustainable for on a content perspective, and also on a personal perspective, because it requires me being extremely open about my personal life online. And I don't want to bleed in public. Okay, like I think personal life should stay personal, which means I need to up my content game, and I also need to retrain my audience. But that's okay, because I have a small audience to begin with. I don't want to shove you guys down the toilet, but I also want you to understand that I'm trying to do something different with my life, and doing something beyond just like bleeding, you know. I hope that you appreciate that. I hope you understand that. Happy St. Patrick's Day from Tehran in Iran. Oh, I'm sorry to hear about those things, but I'm not even gonna get into that. What's up, C? How you doing? Who is she talking to? She's talking to the people that have been watching my stream for a long time, and those people matter most because they keep coming back. And I don't want to do bad by them, but I also want them to understand that a lot of the things that they feel like they can connect to with my stream, and why they respect me as a streamer compared to others, a lot of those things are not very sustainable. you know, from a content perspective. I'm just going to be completely honest. Like, there's only so much you can share of your personal life before it gets to, you know, start hurting you. And I think my last stream, I got a little bit too open, and it's not like it got bad. Like, you know, we were just chatting, but it's like I can kind of see where things are going because I kind of see trends. I've been streaming for 6 years. I'm starting to be able to see analytics properly. I think like you do something long enough and you take feedback long enough and you just naturally start getting better at something. And I see my analytics for YouTube going up, and I see when it goes up and when it goes down. And I'm starting to learn that pattern. Okay, so I do see that there is a strong correlation with my authenticity, but there's also a strong correlation with, you can't just look at analytics alone, because if it was all just about analytics, I would just completely do whatever the analytics tell me to do, and you guys would freaking you'd say I was fake, you'd say I was all sorts of bullshit. I wouldn't be able to look at myself in the mirror, you know. And I think basically, if I was just looking at my analytics, there's certain things that make the number go up, and there's certain things that keep the number down. And sometimes it's hit and miss, but I'm starting to see the patterns. But at the same time, sometimes I have to make an executive decision that just because something is bringing my analytics up doesn't necessarily mean it aligns with who I am as a person. And so I have to strike a balance, and that's really hard to do, but I think I'm figuring it out. Do y'all talk about politics? Not really. People in my chat do. Batman. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. No, people in my chat do. People in my chat like talking about politics. I know that's just how YouTube is. It's just how life is, to be honest. A lot of people just casually bring up politics, but I feel like I try to, even in my personal life, when we start bringing up politics in our conversation with our friends, right? I think it's so easy to get lost in the cerebral nature of it. Like, we get stuck in our heads, right? We're talking to our friends, and we start talking about a political issue and how it affects us, and it makes us angry, or it makes us sad, or whatever. And it's so easy to forget that we're safe and we're with somebody who loves us. I'm sorry to hear that, Strict 9. Yeah, I mean, I think it's normal. I'm not trying to say that we should avoid politics. What I'm saying is I try to treat it as, hey, let's take a step back and remember that we're hanging out on a YouTube channel, having some coffee, and we're trying to start our day. Like, you know, like, don't let politics discussions ruin your day. Don't spend your entire day on Twitter. You know, don't go into Reddit. And, like, you know, maybe if you really need to type up paragraphs, then open up Notepad. Wait like an hour. And then if you still want to post it, copy paste it. I know it's hard to do, but just thinking about that sometimes is enough. Even if you still don't do that, like, even just, like, thinking that idea over, like, before you post anything, just realize, like, what is this actually providing value to you? And also, I do think that you should also trust that you're doing something for a reason, and that you shouldn't hold yourself back. But also, I think just from a personal, emotional level, before you post something online, and this is spoken as somebody who has been online for 26 years on social media, who has posted a lot of social justice kind of stuff, and who has listened to all sorts of opinions from all sorts of different sides, from all sorts of different backgrounds, all sorts of different opinions. What does it really do when you post on Reddit or something? Like, somebody's going to uptick it, whatever. Somebody's going to downvote. Somebody's going to reply. Someone's going to get mad. Like, you have to really... Oh, thanks for the sub. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. Your name's Bruce Wayne? But wait, Bruce Wayne isn't Batman. He's like a billionaire. What the hell are you talking about? He doesn't have time to be a Batman. He can't possibly be Batman. You're lying. Good afternoon, Jamie Turd. How you doing? What's your take on UFOs? Well, UFOs are definitely real, but what is a UFO? That's the real question. Is angry mode on? Aurora, what time did you click on my stream? Like, we've been silly all morning. UFOs are so old school, they're like Russian and shit. Or Chinese, or North Korean. I don't even know. Russian? The Russians? You guys remember the Russians? You're a Playboy billionaire, Bruce Wayne in the day? Hey, what's up, D.A. Alim? Sometimes I let my audience figure things out for themselves. You're Batman? I guess he's Batman. So basically, what was I trying to say? Sometimes it's like before you post something online, like just make sure you really were doing, like what you're doing it for. Like ask yourself why you're writing what you're writing. Like, and then write about that. And write it in a personal journal instead of posting it online. I know it's like hard to, and I'm like probably the last person to listen to as far as like posting stuff online. I got to a point where I got so comfortable talking about like my personal life online that I would just share it in Discords and on social media and on my YouTube channel, my Twitch. And it's not good for you. It's really not. Not just because like, hey, like not everybody needs to know your personal business. And honestly, yeah, I got too comfortable with it because there gets to a point where you're like, you don't care anymore. You don't care what you share. And that's also good. There's a power in that. Not letting people control you, not letting people like, you know, blackmail you with like, oh, we're going to share your personal life online. Like, well, if you do the sharing first, then it's like you kind of drew first, right? But you're closeted? You're gay? Well, if they find out, make sure you're safe. This is why people are, and this is, I guess, you know, a little bit of politics. You know, the gay politics. See, I was closeted as a kid. I did not know I was trans until I was like 18. But also, I never identified as a gay person. And a lot of trans women start out by figuring out that they might be gay. And then they live as a gay man. And then they realize they're not a man. And then they transition. And then they feel more aligned. But I never had that experience because I didn't really feel like a gay man. I felt like a kind of, you know, like bisexual woman, you know. Just now you joined. What we're talking about? We're talking about dicks. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just had my surgery 2 years ago. And I had my facial surgery a year before that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm starting to move on to a new chapter in my life. You know, like I'm saying, like I'm trying to pivot my content, but I also want to stay authentic, and I don't want to make it like in a artificial kind of way, like, right? So yeah, you're gonna see me kind of struggling with that inner battle. Maybe it has nothing to do with you. You know, it's not you, it's me. Okay. But here's the thing. I want to make sure that I'm not trying to force things, but I'm also not getting stuck in my own, like, way too comfortable. Yeah, it's like an anime background. Yeah, for real. The music. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say that, like, sometimes it's so easy if you've been on social media for like 26 years. It's so easy to just be okay with sharing things that are deeply personal. And last stream, I was getting a little bit, you know, I didn't get too bad. I think people appreciate, you know, being open and honest online. But it got to a point where it's starting to give me panic attacks. Because I don't particularly really know what's, like, it's like I trust. I mean, it's like I'm too okay with sharing things online, and sometimes something I'm okay with, just because I'm okay with it, doesn't mean it's something I should share. And it's like, it's a dangerous thing when you like don't know what you shouldn't say, right? Who knows? The world is a strange place. Yeah, and it's getting stranger too. You're a demi-boy / femboy. You're trans, but not anymore. I think, well, you know, life's a journey, okay? And you're on a boat, and you're going on that boat, and then you see some merch, and you buy that merch, and you invest in Rebecca coin, okay? And then one day you wake up and you realize it's starting to go up in value, and so you sell it, and you make some money. Okay, so that's really all that there is to it. I don't know if that's weird or bad. I don't think it is. I think it's just like, is it weird or bad for you? I think it's not about like what people think. Because honestly, especially the way the world is going now, you can pretty much share anything and people are not going to care. But are you going to care? That's the real question. Like, what am I okay with, you know, presenting myself to the world as? Like, what am I okay being? You know, it's not about whether people are going to be okay with me. Am I going to be okay with me? Like, you know, if I really wanted to start making tons of money and like, you know, doing crypto rug pulls and all that sort of stuff, you know, like all that kind of stuff, would I make a lot of money? Possibly, maybe not, but actually most likely not. But would I be able to look at myself in the mirror? And the answer was yes. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah, we don't want to talk about that, Batman. So just a little warning. We don't go towards those types of topics. That's way too much. I'm going to refer you over to people like Asmongold. I'm going to refer you to people like Hassan or Destiny or Vosh. You can talk about that kind of stuff over there, get that out of your system, and then come back. It's like watching porn, right? Sometimes you're watching a streamer and you just get horny. You get a boner. You know, whether it's a man boner or a lady boner, whatever. And you just have to open up the hub, okay? And then you do your business, and then you come back, okay? And then you come back, okay? So, so with that, like with political and like heavy news stuff, sometimes you just gotta leave the stream you're watching and go over to like someone like Asmongold or Hassan or Destiny or Vosh, or whoever your favorite political streamer is that you get all your opinions from. Go watch them. Talk to them in their chat, and when you get that out of your system, come back. It's like masturbating, but with politics. Okay, so that's basically Asmongold. You would buy a lot of it? Well, then I have good news for you. If we get enough viewers over time, I can actually add super chat. There are ways to support me now, but you guys don't need to support me financially. I obviously could always do better, but honestly, I'm not relying on, you know, social media for income right now. You want to play? We're not playing chess right now. RJ. Welcome back, by the way. We're just chatting. You know, we're having some coffee. You know, pull up a chair, get some coffee, get some yerba mate, get some guarana, or get some green tea, or get whatever you want. I don't care. Make sure to have, if you have anything other than tea, you know, you could probably try, I highly recommend this, getting some L-theanine by NutriCost. I recommend NutriCost for supplements, by the way. You really don't want to go overboard with supplements. You want to take a few targeted supplements based on what your physical medical needs are. But I highly recommend L-theanine because it's what's in green tea, and it's white. Well, it's in all tea. Green tea has special properties, though. It has catechins that are actually known to be anti-cancer or cancer preventative, possibly even cancer reversing, depending on what the research actually is. But, you know, green tea has special properties, but it also has L-theanine, and so does black tea and all forms of tea. It's all from the same plant. L-theanine is a mood stabilizer, like it gives you like a calm focus, and it synergizes, it interacts with caffeine in a very unique way. if you drink coffee or any kind of caffeine like cola nut or something, you know, guarana or yerba mate or anything like that, you know, like Yaupon, like the North American tea that's from like the Appalachians or whatever. You know, Yaupon or Yopon, whatever you want to call it. Whatever caffeine you have, if you take L-theanine, it takes away the jitteriness and the anxiety from it. So it kind of just gives you like a calm focus, more like green tea. The big E? Oh God. You also on Twitch? Yeah, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're also on X, which is kind of interesting. I don't think I get any viewers there though. But there's also an interesting thing, you have to actually post it, which is kind of interesting. You have to like post your own live stream on X. It's kind of weird. I could possibly promote it, but we're not at that point. It's not a good way, unless I'm selling a product. I would only promote something. See, I think that like people don't understand sometimes how promotions work. You don't really want to promote something like inorganically, but I feel like if you have like an actual specific product you're trying to sell to a deliberate like kind of audience, that's when you promote things. So like, if you have like a very specific thing, like a course or like a product of some sort, not just like, hey, I'm live, come watch my stream. I don't think that's good to like promote. Hey, Dragon Ball Z. Fusion Pa. You don't know why, but coffee has the opposite effect? Yeah, I mean, maybe you have ADHD. It is weird to hate on LGBTQ. I just think it's weird to hate on like anybody just for being who they are. Now, it's okay to hate somebody for being an asshole. That's one thing. And if there's gay people that are assholes, I'm gonna have a problem with them too. So don't think I'm discriminating and I'm playing favorites. Okay, there are trans people I will not want to talk to. I mean, I would want to talk to them in the sense that I want them to like want to understand them and possibly even interview them for journalism purposes, for clout. But you know, because I'm kind of an evil bitch that only cares about analytics. You guys don't understand this, but you guys understand I'm actually a psychopath. I only really care about growth and making money. You guys, okay, I mean, I know it's hard to believe. Wait, which part is actually true? All of them. Like, which part of her stream is actually authentic? Like, which version of her is real? I'm gonna watch more to find out. I want to see who she really is. See, I know how to do that. I know how to hook them, okay? Because I'm a hooker. That's what that means, right? Right? Oh, we got our boy JC in there, Dr. Soda. What's up, Neat Dreams? Hey-oh, how you doing? You been playing Midnight? Wait, what? Yeah, you guys don't know, but I'm actually a psychopath that only cares about analytics, and I've just been stringing you guys along with my real life, quote-unquote, just to get on your heartstrings so that I can do a rug pull and sell you my Rebecca coin. That's exactly who I am. Don't even doubt it for a second. Don't believe a word I say. I am an actual psychopath, and I know how to manipulate my audience. Okay. The thing is you guys don't know whether to believe me or not. Yeah, we do. We don't believe you. She's counting on that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, you only learned that I'm a psychopath now. You didn't think that before, right? Oh, this song is bumping. Let's go. You can't look at me the same way I did. No, you guys need to calm down. You know that I'm really funny, right? Yeah, like, you know I'm just joking, right? You can't like pretend that you're like a soulless bastard bitch, okay? Whatever you want to genderless, gender neutral term bastard version. I mean, female version. Like, yeah, this whole, like, gendered language thing. Like, come on. Like, just because I'm a chick, sometimes people, they realize that they're talking to a woman and they say the word dude and then they correct themselves and say dudette. But nobody actually says dudette. Like, people say dude. Like, chicks say dude all the time when they're talking, or they say bro. Like, they're like, bro. or like, what's up? Like, dude. Like, my dudes. Like, and they're talking to chicks, right? So, like, I don't like this whole like autocorrect that we do in our heads sometimes, where it's like we're talking to somebody and we realize we're talking to somebody from whatever, like something that like you use language that is usually associated, and then you like stumble over it and you like try to correct it. Do I believe this? You better. You guys understand that I'm also an actress? And I've been, I mean, honestly, maybe not professionally. I mean, I guess professionally because I'm a live streamer and YouTuber. But I've been an actress since I was like 3 years old. Okay, I learned how to pick up on what people want. I wasn't very good at it, but I learned how to do it. And it's been a matter of trying to wiggle my way around, trying to figure out how to get people to activate, so to speak, right? Like, so I'm not really good at manipulating people. So in order to manipulate people, you have to like know what they want. And I don't have that because I'm autistic, I don't have that like social skill to be like, what does this person want to hear? Because I have a conscience. Right? So like, because you have a conscience, it actually loses you money. Do you understand? It is a liability. Like, I need to get rid of my conscience. No, like that's not it's not that simple. You can't just get rid of your conscience. That's not possible. But do you understand that understanding that when you start putting your values into whether or not first of all, it's an opinion, or it's like an assumption that manipulating people is inherently bad. Because sometimes you need to manipulate people, and that's the wrong word to use, but that literally, like technically, from like a physical standpoint, that is kind of what you're doing. But like, for example, if somebody's crying, you don't just go up and give them a high five, right? So that's like social awkwardness. Like, you don't ask for a high five, or you say, hey, you want to play Mortal Kombat? Like when they're crying because they just like their dog died, right? It shows that you can lie even better. So here's the real thing. What if I'm just trying to convince you that I'm good at lying, but it's actually because I'm terrible at lying? So I'm so terrible at lying that I got you to think that I'm lying. What if that was what's going on? It was easier for me to figure out how to do that than to learn how to lie. You call everyone dude? You've had trans women get mad. Yeah, I mean, you have to understand. Also, the reason trans women get mad is because I've been there. Is because like it's just the reason why anybody gets mad at anything. It's not even just about trans people. Look at it from this perspective. Like, if somebody has ever been like, you know, the reason why people might be racist, for example, because like one black dude like robbed them like in New York, and they may not have even been black. They may have been like just it was nighttime. Or maybe they were, and then now for the rest of their lives, every time they see a black man, they like clutch their purse, right? You're maybe giving a panic attack. Get to your point. All you say is nonsense. Good. I'm doing something right then, Dro Martin. Are you into pans? I am pansexual. That's not really what you probably think it means. Or it's exactly what you think it means. Yeah, I think what it is like when somebody has, it's like a spotlight effect, right? I mean, that's like a bad usage of that term, but like I'm trying to illustrate a point here. If you're thinking about something more often than most people, then when somebody brings it up, it's gonna hurt you more. And so a lot of trans women are very early on into their transition, or they're getting struggles. You have to understand it from people's point of view, right? If you've been spending years of your life trying to get accepted as who you are, you can't get to surgeries because of all these bureaucratic, problems that I was somehow able to navigate, but not a lot of trans women can, because of physical location or because of, I'm kind of special, right? Like, I don't want to I don't want to get like egotistical about it, but I am kind of unique. Okay. Like it's really rare. I'm a rare type of person. So like people are going to get mad. They're not really mad at you. They're mad at their situation. And this is just beyond trans people. Like try not to think about like, oh, why are trans people like this? It's because you're not understanding that this is something that applies to everybody, but because they're trans, you see it as a novelty. But if you really take a step back, this is the same thing that happens to everybody, including yourself. So if you've ever if you've ever met somebody who's never driven a car, right? Have you ever met anybody who they're 20 or possibly even 25 or 30 or 40 and they have not even gotten their driver's license? So if you're talking to them and you drive every day to work, right? And they take the bus or they take, they ride a bike or something. You talk to them about traffic related things and they see it very differently because they only know traffic through riding a bike or being on the bus. So things that trigger you, it's not really going to bother them. They don't really care about what it's like driving on the freeway when it's backed up, or when people cut you off, or when people forget to signal. They don't really think about that the same way you do. That's what it's like to be trans. Is to be talking to people who've never driven a car before, right? And you've driven a car every day. Which coffee is this? It's I've been drinking my Kofefif for I've been drinking it for an hour. We have more to go, by the way. It's black coffee. It's like a San Francisco Arabica. You don't think trans people are the problem? I think I'm the problem because I accidentally make all sorts of people mad at me all the time. I get terrible anxiety about it. Well, see, that is a start, but that's also not true. Don't be so mean to yourself, Neat Dreams. That is an observation, and it may or may not be correct. Maybe you're not 100% correct. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle. Maybe it's somewhere else entirely. But it is a start. Because if you have to notice that people get mad at you and it's not just one type of person, it's multiple people, well, maybe you're just surrounding yourself by angry people who are unreasonable. That also might be true. But I think more likely there might be something that you're doing. It's not really about you though. That's the good news. That's the really good news. It's not really about you. It's about something you're doing. And if once you understand that, and I know it's hard, I have this issue too, and it's always easy to say that you don't care until you actually care. Because when it's something that's deeply meaningful to you, it feels very different when somebody calls it out than when it's something that you're oh, I'm so humble, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, I'm really okay with facing my problems. And then when it's actually a problem, you get defensive about it, right? When it's actually something that is internal to you, into your identity, it's because you smoke weed or something. Right? This is what I've noticed with people, and I used to be this way. If people have a problem with you smoking weed, or if they have a problem with you not cutting your hair, right? Because you smoke weed and it gets in your hair and it smells. So like what happens, or you don't wash your clothes, you don't change your clothes like after you smoke weed or something, right? So it's a whole number of things why people might be annoyed with you for smoking weed that honestly, it's not even like, some people have a moral problem with it. They're like, why are you smoking weed? You're a loser, you're a failure, go get a job. It's like, dude, people who have jobs smoke weed too. Like it's not about the weed, it's about their own bullshit. You have to understand that. I'm using this as an example because I think it's a lot of things that a lot of people can understand. A lot of people may or may not have smoked weed at some point in their life. What kind of weed you eat? I don't take weed anymore. I've had problems with it. I've been ever since I was younger, in my 20s, I have smoked weed a lot off and on, and it has caused problems. It helped a little bit. I'm not going to say it's 100% bad. And I've had some really good friendships and moments with people I really care about over weed. But it wasn't really about the weed, it was about the person. The weed doesn't replace human connections. It's just human connection sometimes involves weed. That's what I learned. You don't need weed for that. You need the person. And so like that means that like you don't have to just keep smoking weed just to spend time with people you care about. And also if weed is the only thing that's connecting with people, maybe that tells you something, right? So if like you only hang out with people when you're high, then maybe you should find different people to hang out with. It's not even about whether or not you don't have to quit weed. It's not even about that. Some people have a moral judgment about it. Some people are like, oh, you shouldn't smoke weed because it's wrong. It's like, it's like causing problems in your life. Dude, like stay in your own lane. It might be causing problems, but that's still none of their business. But it's not up to them. It's up to you. And it's always been up to you. And if you don't want to quit weed, nobody should get, it should be for your own reasons. But that being said, sometimes people are a little bit right, but just because they're right doesn't mean that they should be, right? So like just because somebody's correct about something doesn't mean they have any business. It's not their business. Because they also don't know the whole story. They can't possibly know the whole story. They're making a guess. And so just because they're correct doesn't necessarily mean that they're 100% correct. Nobody's 100% correct. Even we have blind spots about ourselves. A friend with gold is the best, I'm told. A friend with weed is a friend indeed, but a friend with gold is the best, I'm told. Leprechaun in the Hood. True. But anyway, sometimes when people get mad at you, sometimes you have to ask yourself, maybe it's the people that you're surrounding with yourself, but also it might be because of actions. And I think the reason why I brought up weed was because I think that's a relatable thing, no matter what side of it you're on. So if you don't like weed, then being around people who do like weed sets you off. Like you're like making moral judgments. You're like, why is this person smoking weed? I don't like it. You're making all sorts of judgments and you blame the other person. But the person who is smoking weed is not the problem. It's the fact that you're getting worked up about it. And that's like the similar thing that happens with trans people when people misgender and people are weird about things, even if it's on accident. Like, especially people in your personal life. Especially like family, right? So a lot of times with family, they knew you as a different gender and a different name most of your life. And unfortunately, there's no real way around that except time and patience and love, grace, all those things that some of those Bible things talk about, right? We don't need to get into those, but basically, sometimes you need to like make a decision for yourself if you're trans or something, or if you smoke weed and you're surrounded by people who hate it. Maybe you need to make a decision for yourself. Either you quit smoking weed so that you can stay with those people, or you can pull away from those people. It doesn't mean permanently, but sometimes you can learn a lot about yourself when you respect yourself by pulling away from people who are taking away from you. And that was what was happening with family. I don't want to get too much into personal because I told you earlier I'm trying to steer away from that. But honestly, as a live streamer, it's just part of the thing. A lot of people talk about, stuff like this, so I guess I'm not crazy. But a lot of it is that at some point you have to decide whether or not you need to, put some space between you and people you love. If they're going to cause distress in your life, sometimes some space helps both of you. And then maybe you can come back together in a better middle ground. Or maybe you never see each other again. And sometimes you have to learn how to be okay with that. And that's one of the things. I had to make a decision. Do I keep pretending to be somebody I'm not so that I can keep all the people in my life happy? Or do I pull away from them and stand up for myself and respect myself and let them catch up? Those are the two decisions you always have, really. Those are the only real two decisions you have. Do you keep appeasing them, possibly, and not always guaranteed, possibly at the expense of yourself? Because sometimes you might want to appease people, like if you want to keep a job, right? So like, this isn't always like a super crazy negative thing. Like sometimes you need to appease people because it's expected of you. It's like contractual, right? They expect you to not be high on the job, so you're going to stop smoking weed when you're at work, right? So that's like a compromise you're making so that you can appease those people. That's not always bad, see? But if the people in your life were saying you need to quit smoking weed forever, or I'm not going to like you anymore, I'm going to hate you, I'm going to treat you badly, well then maybe you say, hey, maybe I do want to quit smoking weed, but also the fact that they're getting all up in my business, that tells me something about the nature of my relationship with them. Ad break? Well, you know how you can get rid of that ad break, Neat Dreams? You can use that sub button. Subscribers don't get ads. And you could even use your Amazon Prime, for a Prime gift, for a Prime sub. And in fact, I think I can make you a VIP, and then I think you don't get a ad. Or no, I can gift you a sub. Well, first of all, I should make you a VIP. But also, I think I can gift you a sub. Yeah, let me give you a sub. How do I do that? How do I even do that? Oh, gift a sub. There we go. Do I have to buy it? I thought it was free for me. What? It says $5.99. I don't know if I can gift you a sub. I'm too afraid to spend it because I'm like not doing too well with money right at this exact moment. Ads over. Chicken bacon ranch chalupas at Taco Bell. Jesus Christ. Oops. Yeah, I don't know. Keyframe interval is too high. It's like I have it set to like... I have the keyframe interval set to 0. 0 is auto. It's too high. Should I set it to 1? French fries with Alfredo sauce? Is my stream unstable? It just says it's unstable, but I don't know if it actually is. Yeah, I don't know. It says keyframe interval too high, but I have it set like... I think it might just be because I'm on Restream. Maybe it just automatically does that. Maybe it doesn't actually mean anything. Maybe it's just a technical problem. Looks normal. Yeah, I mean, I've never really had anybody tell me I have any issues with it. Yeah, I don't know. But basically, here's the thing. Sometimes you have to make decisions about whether or not you want to appease people or whether or not you want to pull away from them so that you can respect yourself and let them come to you. And sometimes you have to accept it. It's really hard for people to do because a lot of people want their cake and they want to eat it too. And so a lot of the times people will refuse to do the difficult things, which is like put up boundaries. So like this is like I feel like the weed example is really good because there are times where it's perfectly okay to like say, okay, like you're at work and your boss says to stop coming in high. Because obviously, most people would probably say, okay, that's reasonable. Okay, it's not a moral judgment. I mean, possibly your boss has a moral judgment about it, but you know, all they can really do and all they can reasonably expect of you is that if you don't quit doing that, you're going to get fired, right? What the fuck is even that? Exactly. So basically, in that scenario, I think it's pretty reasonable to say, okay, I'm going to make a compromise for that person. Or you can say, well, I'm going to go do something else and quit that job. You know, that's also okay too. And you're going to go somewhere else where that's okay for you to do. Which might be the case, especially if you work from home or something like that. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, and here's the thing is like, this is just true with anybody. Like if you've ever had a problem with people in your life, and I think this is why the weed example is a good one, because a lot of people can relate to this. Not a lot of people can relate to being trans. So like, but I think it shares a lot of commonality, not in the specifics, obviously, because smoking weed is not necessarily an identity. It kind of is. Because sometimes people say, oh, cut your hair. And they say my hair is a part of who I am. And it is. Somebody expecting you to cut your hair, and this is usually true for guys, or for women to be told to grow their hair out, right? So like, it's kind of true for like everybody. Sometimes people will like pressure you to cut your hair, especially if you have like dreadlocks or something like that. People are going to be very judgmental and negative about it. And some people are like, fuck that, it's a part of who I am. And in a lot of ways it is. And I would never expect somebody to go against who they are just for my own personal... Why would I want someone to cut their hair? Like, it has nothing to do with me. Now, it's one thing if, like, their hair is, like, an actual liability. Like, if they're... like, you know, like, there's some kind of issue with that, like, for, like, a literal reason. But, most of the time, that's not... I don't think that's ever really going to be an issue. Even, like, warriors, you know, in history... They would put their hair in braids when they went into battle, and including women, because there were women warriors. But there's a lot of cultures where men had really long hair, and it was part of their spiritual identity. And they would put their hair in braids in order to you know, not so it wouldn't get in the way. And it was a very spiritual thing. It was part of who they were, and it made them better. It made them better warriors. Because if you are not aligned with who you are, how are you supposed to be an effective warrior? Like, if you really think about it. So, I mean, I know that's, like, not a perfect example, like, when it comes to, like, specifics and, like, one-to-one. You're growing your hair out? Nice. But, like, when it comes to people who are, like, they really like smoking weed, a lot of people can relate to that, right? So if you have a lot of people who enjoy smoking weed, and they've had people in their life who tried to force them to quit, and they told them to fuck off, that's what it's like for trans people. Like, if you're trans, and then people are, like, pissed off that you're angry, that they're like, hey, I accidentally said, you know, the wrong pronouns, why are you mad at me? Now you're getting mad that they're getting mad, and then it's like a vicious circle, right? So it's like, you're getting defensive, I'm getting defensive, I mean, or the, you know, the trans person is getting defensive that you're talking about. Guilty! What is this? What's his name? Joaquin Phoenix? No, Phoenix Wright, attorney at law. You love smoking weed? Exactly, good for you. But if you've ever had people who had a problem with you and you just told them to fuck off, that's what it's like being trans. Because people are going to have a problem with you and you're like, well, I can't change. And this is even deeper than smoking weed. Smoking weed is actually a huge part of cultural identity. And I think this is not talked about a lot. People are like, oh, it's just it's not a personality trait. It's not an identity. For some people, it's spiritual. Like, it's a part of their culture. Like, you know, sometimes it's just like stoner culture. And that is a real culture too, by the way. You know, if we look at culture without judgment, without emotional, you know, attachment, without like moral judgments, if you really look at it, like modern culture, stoner culture, especially surrounding video games, is like a thing. And like 100 years from now, people are going to look, oh yeah, in the year 2000s, people would smoke weed and play and hang out on Discord and play Call of Duty, right? So if you're trans, it's like being high all the time. No, it's like having people in your life who are telling you you need to be doing something different, but it's not their life, and it's they're out of line, trying to control your life. And for people who smoke weed who really like it, and then they have people in their life who are trying to force them to stop, there's a huge disconnect there, because you're like, well, I'm going to do what I want. And I can't change it. I'll choose to change it when I want to. It's not even about the weed. It's about somebody trying to control you. Someone trying to change who you are. So if you turn trans and then I don't get high, I want my money back afterwards. Yeah, I mean, so basically if you're trans, you're basically high all the time. Speaking of which, I need to take my estrogen. I'm pretty sure I don't. Yeah, I didn't. I have like a ledger. Yeah, I didn't take it yet. So, yeah. Banoffee? You mean coffee? What? Batman coffee? Estrogen. Titty juice. Let's go. Banana toffee cake? Oh my fucking god. That's awesome. Banana toffee cake? Like toffee? And then you have coffee with it? What? Yeah, titty juice. Let's go. Yeah. Oh, she took her estrogen. Let's go. Yeah, it's like getting high. No, not really. It's like when you finally feel aligned with your body, it's not even about whether or not you're a guy or a girl. Like it hasn't, like it does, but like it's not about that. Like it's not even about the estrogen. It's not about the testosterone. Like I know people treat it like people who aren't going through it, and also sometimes people who are going through it, there's different stages. When you start taking hormones, you think it's all about the hormones. And there is like an adjustment period, but it's because it's the right fit for you. Like it's like, you know how like when you drink coffee, for example, and you've been trying to figure out exactly which blend is your favorite blend. And then you finally or like what do you want to add to it? Do you want to add whole milk, half milk, fat-free milk? Do you want to add like, you know, non-dairy, you know, stuff like non-dairy creamer or half and half? Or do you want to use oat milk or almond milk or rice milk or whatever you want to use? Do you want to use stevia? Do you want to use sugar? Do you want to use sucralose, like, you know, like whatever, you know, artificial sugar, sweetener? Like, what do you actually want to use to mix in your coffee? Do you put a little cinnamon in it? Once you get that right fit, and then that's the one you have every single day. That's what it's like being trans, and you finally figure it out. Like what like, you know, for me it was like hormones, facial surgery, vaginoplasty. I needed those 3 things. And once I got those 3 things, everything was good. I didn't need a boob job. You know, nothing like that. Honestly, yeah, like I wish my breasts were a little fuller, but you know, they're good enough. But you know, here's the thing, is like the reason why it's hard to talk to people about trans stuff is because most people can't relate to it. And so it kind of puts us in a conundrum where it's like we're trying to help people understand us, but people just see us as like this alien. And when people don't understand something, they're going to be a lot harsher and they're going to be a lot quicker to judge. But I feel like if people can understand things like smoking weed as a part of their more cultural identity. And I do want to say that it's a lot more complicated than that. Like it's a lot more complicated than that, because it's not just a cultural identity. Gender is complex because it's not just a social identity, it's also a personal and a spiritual identity. Like, you know, like your body. Okay, there's 3 parts to transition. I've told this to people before and it kind of blew their minds. There's 3 parts to being trans. There's a personal, spiritual level. There is a medical, like body, physical, hormones, biological level, or like anatomical, right? For like in the case of surgeries. And there is a social element, a cultural, like social cultural. So gender is different depending on where you are on the planet. Like being a woman is different in different places. Being a man is different in different places, in different cultures. So it's not just social, it's not just medical, and it's not just personal. It's all 3 of those things together. And that's what makes it unique when you compare it to something that's purely social and or social and spiritual. And I guess weed is actually a good example, because when you smoke weed, you're altering your physical, like you're altering your mental state. Like you're ingesting like a mind-altering substance. And also they are finding out that it actually does make changes to your DNA. Like, so your offspring will be different depending on if you smoked weed or not, like enough for long enough. Which is interesting. This is some interesting biology we're figuring out. There's interesting medical discoveries happening in our lifetime. So basically, there's a personal spiritual level for the reason why people smoke weed, because it helps them connect with themselves. It helps them connect with nature. It helps them connect with others, whatever. But like, you know, it helps people like understand themselves a little bit better or for worse. Hopefully for better. And there's also a chemical part to it, because it literally is a mind altering substance. And we are learning that it also alters your DNA. You know, in recent research about marijuana. And there's also a social cultural part of it. Like it's like, you know, the peace pipe, right? Like hanging out with people at a concert, like, you know, getting stoned with people and talking about life, talking about music, talking about video games, playing video games, hanging out with people you really care about. There is a social cultural part to it. So if you really think about it, if you've smoked weed and it's a part of who you are, you understand the trans experience. I know it's kind of a hot take, but I think there's a lot of truth to it. You can prove me wrong if you want in the comments, but you know, make sure to like and subscribe. Yeah, I had to do that because that's probably going to be in my YouTube shorts, so people are probably going to comment. Yeah, so basically, I know it's a little bit of a controversial opinion. It's going to make people, it's going to ruffle a little feathers, okay? So, especially, you know, like trans people might get offended by me, and I'm a trans woman. So, you know, it's not about whether or not you're trans or not. I don't pick sides. I don't play favorites. If you're trans and you're bothering me, I'm going to call you out. If you're not trans and you're being okay, I'm not going to call you out. If you're trans and you're being okay, I'm not going to call you. Like, if people... I treat myself and my environment, which includes my live stream and my chat, it's sacred. And whether you're trans or not, I don't play favorites. I know it's really easy to make an echo chamber, But just because you're trans or just because you're LGBTQ does not give you a free pass with me. There are people that I highly disagree with, and I think they're very toxic. And it has nothing to do with whether or not they're LGBTQ. You on Twitch or Kick? I'm on Twitch. I actually delete that. I did have to make a decision on whether or not I wanted to just, be associated with Kick, and I decided I didn't want to be associated with Kick. It was especially at a time when people, when like that guy who sucked, Nick Pollum's nipple at TwitchCon, and he was a Kick streamer. But it's also people like Aiden Ross, people like, there's a lot of negativity associated with Kick. I know it's not 100%, because there are like trans people and like other people who are like, not like that on Kick, but I just didn't want to be associated with it on an internal level. So maybe it was a bad decision. Maybe I could have grown my viewership better, but I honestly don't think it particularly matters. And now nobody can take my username. So that way, if you see somebody streaming under rebeccaloran, any alteration of that name, it's not me. Unless I specifically say that it was me. But the name rebeccaloran is now permanently off limits on Kick. So now nobody can pretend to be me. So like, unless I specifically Ice Poseidon, unless I specifically tell you that I'm streaming on Kick again under a different name, and I don't even know if you can do that. I think once you delete your account, you're done. I had to actually manually email them and have them delete my account. And once you delete your account, you can't get it back. I don't know if that means you can't make a new account, but I'm pretty sure you can. I pretty much burnt my bridge with them. I think it's for the best. I don't really think that long-term Kick is really going to help me out. And YouTube is doing much better. You're trans, now you feel like a dude in a woman's body. I am sorry to hear that, Muhammad. I hope that you find your spiritual journey with that. That sounds really painful. It's, like you gave yourself gender dysphoria, which was supposed to be the opposite. I'm sorry to hear that. And you're never really gonna hear me say that it's impossible for that to happen, even if you're trolling. I'm not gonna assume you are. But even if you were, like, there are people who they did make a mistake. But I also want people to understand that just because some people have that experience doesn't negate the 99% of other people who don't have that experience. 99% of the trans population does not regret it. And you have to take that in. Have you ever seen a video game where 99% of the players who downloaded it are still playing it after a month? Like, think about it that way. Have you ever seen a game on Steam, that after a month, 99% of the people who bought it are still playing it? 99% is a fucking lot, okay? I think, what's the norm? Well, actually, I'm kind of wanting to figure this out now. What actually is it? What the hell is even that? What is the average what is the median percentage of people who are still playing a game on Steam, a game they bought on Steam after a month? What is the median? It needs to be median, not average. So it's like the most common one. There's no published median percentage. Typical 30-day retention of successful PC console titles is roughly 10 to 20%. 10 to 20%. So let's just give like the more generous number there. Most of it is 5 to 10%. So one Steam-focused analytics article mentions industry benchmarks of about 30 to 40% retention on day 1, 20% on day 7, and 5 to 10% by day 30. So that's about 5% if we're being conservative, 20 to maybe 25 or 30% if we're going to be very liberal about it. And I'm not saying like by a political, when I say conservative and liberal, I mean like literally, not like politically. I need to make that distinction because some people don't speak English too well. You have a problem with you? You're wearing a millennial shirt while looking like you're Gen Z. My culture is not your costume. Bro, I'm 38. I'm literally a millennial. Bro. Anyway, let that sink in. If we're going to be conservative, there's about 5% people who are still playing a game after a month. That means only 5%. Let's just say 20%, just to be on the, like, you know, more, you know, let's give it a little bit, you know, just to be on the higher end of that spectrum, 5 to 20%, let's say. 20% of players who bought a game on day 1 are still playing on day 30. Let that sink in. No matter how popular a game is, 20% is still 20%. Even if there's like millions of people still playing a game. 20%, it would be much higher if 99%. Do you understand how big of a difference 20% is from 99%? It's not just like a 79% increase. Like, think about it this way. If 100 people downloaded a game, by the end of the month, only 20 people are playing. Now, compare it to trans people who get surgeries. If 100 people get a surgery, 99 people are happy about it. Do you understand? Like, multiply that by, like, let's say 1 million. If 1 million people download a game on Steam, like that's multiplied by what? Like, okay, I'm stupid. So 100 times, it's 2 zeros, so you add 4 zeros, right? No, you add 5 zeros. No, you add 4 zeros. So multiplied by multiplied by 10,000, right? So that's 10,000 times higher, right? So that means after 1 million people downloaded the game, only 20,000 people are still playing on day 30. Now, if 1 million people play the game, and you're comparing it to people who've gotten transgender surgeries, that means 909. I don't know if this is exact. I'm just going to say 900,000. That means 900,000 people are still playing the game after day 30. Do you understand? Like, there is no real, like, long-term... We're starting to get, like, longer-term, you know, research, but let's just be honest. If 99% of people are still happy, why would you say, oh, people are going to regret it? Like, why don't you say that about video games? Why release video games if only 20% of people are going to play it after 30 days, right? Like, why release games on Steam? Because you're not trying to please everybody. You're trying to please the people that appreciate it. So, if 99% of people are okay with the surgeries, that's because there is a system in place to give people chances to back out. And by the time you decide to get the surgery, there are a freak number of cases where it's like people do regret it for whatever reason. But by that point, you've had thousands of opportunities to back out. Think about it this way. If you go to the store, you want to buy Cheetos, right? You've had all these opportunities to back out. And then you're at the check stand and it's asking for you for payment. You have to make a decision. Are you going to buy those Cheetos? Maybe you're not going to eat them. Maybe you're just going to keep them in the bag. Maybe you're going to give them to someone else. But once you make the decision to swipe that card, you've made the decision to buy it. Are you going to regret it? Possibly. But, like, you were the one who walked to the grocery store. You grabbed the bag of Cheetos. You went to the checkout. You made the decision to swipe the card and buy it. So that there were, like, different possibilities where you could have backed out. Now, imagine if that was like 1,000 times more strict. That's transgender medicine. Okay, like there's, instead of 4 steps, there's like 40,000 steps. Do you understand? There are so many times to back out. You have no idea what you're talking about if you think that people are just being able to walk into the clinic and get a surgery. It took me 5 years of deliberate, repeated effort. Do you understand? So if a couple of people are going to regret it, unfortunately for those people, nothing can change that. I am sorry to people who are unhappy with their transgender surgeries. But what do you want me to do about it? I'm one of the people who's happy about it. It was right for me. I was really smart about it. And I took a chance. I said, I can never come back from this. For better or for worse, this is a permanent decision. And you know what? I was a grown-up. And I made a decision. Because I'm an adult. Because people can't get these surgeries until they're 18. And unfortunately, I don't want to get into the politics, they're trying to take that away from 18-year-olds who are adults, who can just, also, if you're 17, you can, in the US, with parental consent, you can join the military. You can join the army. Did you know that? You can actually join the army with parental consent at 17 in the United States. You have to wipe properly? Yeah, exactly. Otherwise your shit's gonna stink. I mean, you like the smell? Sometimes when I don't wipe properly for a week or so, my ass smells like Cheetos and fresh... Whoa! Yo, you might be eating too much Cheetos and you need to wipe more. Yo. But do you understand what I'm saying? In the United States, we have a really messed up set of priorities here. So for people in transgender medicine, especially youth, and I don't want to speak too much about this because I transitioned at 31, but I do understand a lot more than probably most people. But if you go to your parents and you tell them you're trans and you're confused, you don't know what to do because you're a kid trying to figure things out and you know that you're trans, but you're like not sure like what to do about it. Well, then you tell your parents and they take you to a doctor and then you see a therapist and you talk about it for a long time. And then at a certain point, you have to make a decision as a doctor, as a parent, and as a child, whether or not delaying puberty is good or not. And it's a really difficult decision because it means that you're going to miss out on your puberty, and if you regret it later, nothing can undo it. But you have to make an educated decision, and that's what happens in transgender medicine. They know how serious it is. They research this. They've been researching this since like the 60s and 70s. In fact, they've been researching this since like the 1930s. Okay? Like, there's been research on this since the 1930s. How do we actually help people who are trans? That's a very difficult question to ask, right? And to answer. Because the decisions you make as a trans person are permanent for the most part. Even though, like, puberty blockers are reversible when you go off of them, you still cannot undo the fact that you didn't get to have adolescence with that puberty. You had to have an avoided puberty, and then you start hormones potentially. But even that is a huge decision, because once you start hormones, there's really no going back. You can back out, but there might be consequences. So like you ramp it up. You don't just do it all overnight. So it starts with just like therapy, and you go through therapy for a long time. And at a certain point, you reach an age where you start panicking. And this is what we're noticing. This is the research. This is why people get like negative, like suicidal thoughts, is because you can never undo the puberty part. Either way, right? So like you're kind of forced to make a decision, because if you go through your natal puberty, like if you're assigned male at birth and you go through male puberty, you can never undo the growth of like your bone structure, right? Your voice changes, your face changes, your body changes. You start, like, testosterone takes over. You cannot undo that. You can do surgeries, but then you have to have all these invasive surgeries later in life like I did. There's no reason to ever delay. I mean, that's your opinion, but, transgender medicine is very much more involved than what you think. You're a random person on the internet? What about collections of doctors that have researched this for decades and have actually seen patients go through these things? Like, these are the same people that decide, like, cancer treatments. These are the same people that decide diabetes treatments. Okay, like, you have to ask yourself, you could just avoid it, but that's what we were already doing. And it was causing distress. And then people later in life who wanted to transition now have to go through 10 extra steps, basically. And you can never fully reverse it. I can never fully reverse my male puberty, but I have to learn how to live with it. And I have to live the rest of I'm pretty sure I'm going to be okay, but I can't do anything about it. But people who are younger are involved with a medical care system that understands how to help these people, and they never make a decision on their own. It's the child, the parent, and the doctors. Do you understand? It's not just the child, because children are not capable of making those decisions on their own. And I don't know why people seem to think that that's not what's happening. Like, why are you convinced of this? Like, why are you convinced that things are not intensely monitored, intensely gatekept? Because these are serious. Why would you assume that people are not taking this seriously? It's disrespectful to the parents, it's disrespectful to the doctors, and it's disrespectful to the child. Like I said, what about all the people that have issues after surgery? It's like 1 to 2%. Do you understand what I was trying to say earlier? Nobody bats an eye when it comes to other things. But for some reason, they think just like, I know that it's terrible for those people. But so are people who regret knee surgery. So are people that regret, like, hip replacement surgery. You don't need 100% approval to do a surgery. Do you understand? Some people are going to slip through the cracks, but out of any surgery out there, these surgeries have so much gatekeeping and so many chances to back out that by the time you navigate to the point where you're going to actually have the surgery, which you can even still back out at that point before you go under, the people who say yes have already they've already said yes like thousands of times. Do you understand? It doesn't just happen like, I want to get surgery, let me jump up on the table and get it. Like, no, it's not like that, bro. Why are people convinced of this? Do you not understand reality? Is anything else in your life like this, where you need 100% approval before you do something? Anything? Do you need 100% approval to decide on whether or not you buy a car? Sometimes you're like, do I really need to get this car? Is it too expensive? And then you kind of make a decision. Yeah, I'm just going to buy the car. Right? Because you're like, even if I regret it, I made a decision. I'm going to stick by it. What's up, weed working? How you doing? You're like a weed worker, but like a weed whacker? Oh shit. Yeah, I don't know. Let's just kind of like take a step back a little bit. Chat. How you doing? Can we just like kind of pull back into reality a little bit? We're talking about esoteric things that have nothing to do with us. This has nothing to do with me. I'm trans. That's the only thing that it has to do with me. Okay, we're talking about issues that are beyond me. And it's beyond you, to be honest. Like, does it really affect your life? And is anything that you really get mad about really affect, like, do you really have all the answers? Like, some people get mad that people are listening to rock music or like heavy metal music, right? Some people are getting mad that people are playing Dungeons and Dragons, or that they're watching Harry Potter, or that they're watching vampire movies, right? Part-time coffee roaster? Hell yeah. Let's go. Do you toke up and then roast that coffee in the morning? Yeah, so this is the whole thing. They aren't in your algorithm. That they are, because it's like, you can't have 100... okay, I already changed the topic, Keldon. Sorry. But like, just, yeah, there are gonna be people who regret it. I am sorry for them. And I wish I could help them. But they knew what they were doing when they signed up. There is no way that you can get a transgender surgery unless you have a giant pile of cash to pay a very unethical doctor in a different country, like, than the US. I can only speak for the US. There is no way in hell that you are going to make this decision without so much gatekeeping. At the point that you finally get it, it's on you if you regret it. You made a decision, live with it. For better or for worse. Hopefully for better. I'm sorry that you regret it. If you have issues, unfortunately, I can't, like, I'm sorry that you had issues. Maybe you should have listened to your doctor. I mean, I don't want to blame people because, I mean, it could have happened to me. So it could have happened to anyone. I'm sorry. There is like a 1% chance that you get the surgery and there's a problem. Like a major problem. Not like a minor problem. I had like a minor issue, but it was expected somewhat. It was factored in, and I dealt with it, and it got better. So, you know, it was like an expected part of the recovery process. It was like, okay, there's going to be things that, you know, some minor issues that might come up, and it's very unlikely for a major issue to come up unless you don't listen to instructions. And also, I'm diabetic, so it was a little bit higher for me. But like I said, and I've said multiple times, and I documented it on stream as well, during the time, like November of 2023, I had my surgery canceled. I had my surgery canceled in November 2023 until March 28th, 2024, and it wasn't rescheduled. It was just off the schedule until I got my diabetes under control. So, yeah, vasectomy reversal. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Once you get a vasectomy, there's really no going back. There's technically a reversal for that one, but even that is super risky. Now, it's a little bit more serious for like orchiectomy, because orchiectomy is permanent removal of the testicles, and that's a part of vaginoplasty. But really the most permanent part for like the reproductive part, because once you're on estrogen for long enough, your testosterone goes so low that you can't produce sperm anymore. Most likely. It's still not 100%, so you still might get people pregnant. So, you know, it's not like a complete, like 100%. I mean, it's most likely, but you don't want to risk, you know, you can't use it as like, you can't use it as contraceptive, right? You can't bet on being on estrogen and having lower testosterone as guaranteed to not get someone pregnant. Until you have orchiectomy. When you have orchiectomy, you remove the testicles. It is 100% done. You are never going to make sperm again. So, once you make that decision, there's no going back. I made that decision in 2022. And, you know, I made that decision, and then I got facial surgery. There was no going back from that either. I changed my nose. I changed my, I have like, it's not too bad, but I have scar tissue here because they moved my hairline, my forehead forward. And, I had some orbital bone, like, contouring, and I made my nose smaller and a little cuter. And like some stuff over here. And I think there was some jaw contouring possibly. And there was like some reduction over here. You can't completely reduce this area because it's actually protective. Like it's there for a reason. It protects the trachea. So you can't, and women have Adam's apples too, by the way. So, people need to also realize that transgender surgeries, some things that you're trying to remove are actually like, at some point you have to also accept that part of being a woman means that there's not going to be all these things that are a fantasy that you have. Like being a woman, like women have facial hair. Did you know that? And yeah, I use like, I use an epilator, I use an epilator to remove my facial hair. A lot of women do. A lot of women, wax or shave even. It's obviously, you know, I've had laser treatments because I went through male puberty, and that means that my facial hair was more coarse. It wasn't super crazy, but I got laser hair removal because I want, you know, now it's more like a fuzz, like more like female. But, you know, there's things about being a woman that nobody really tells you. And part of living as a woman is accepting that, and that you might be trying to overcompensate, which ironically, people make fun of men for doing when people are like, oh, he's overcompensating for his dick size or whatever. Women do that too. Okay, but in different ways. Do a backflip. Use the same for me below hair. Oh, for your junk. Okay. What was I talking about? So like 100% is unreasonable. Marilyn Monroe. Yeah, I was watching like a makeup tutorial or a makeup YouTuber. She was talking about Marilyn Monroe and how she used, like, back in her time in the entertainment industry, people wore Vaseline as like a base for their makeup, like a primer underneath their makeup, because makeup was different. She didn't really talk about that, but people in the comments were. And she tried it, and like Marilyn Monroe had face on her hair, but she refused to shave. Yeah, she refused to shave it. Made her face glow under the movie lights. Yeah, because lighting was different, cameras were different, and all sorts of stuff was different, and like the makeup was different. So she actually kept her facial hair. Transition back into a man and then do a backflip. I'm sorry, these are things I cannot do. I don't have a dick anymore. Do you understand? Maybe you saw it because I saw it, and because you follow me on YouTube. Because you watch me on my live stream. Oh wait, I mean, you've probably seen my YouTube shorts, right? I mean, YouTube algorithm is interesting. Because you watch me, we get the same recommendations. Do you play Arknight's Enfield? What is that, Batman? I'm Batman! End Administrator. That's interesting. Is that like about anal sex? We need more coffee. Hey, gorgeous. Love the hair. Thank you. Welcome back, Dubcon. How high is high that is most high? High. What's up, Onkar? How you doing? I'm just trying to illustrate exactly like what the stupidity is, the willful ignorance that people have, that they would never hold this standard for anything else in their entire life, and yet they choose to hold that standard for transgender surgeries. People say things like, there are people who regret the surgery, which is true. And unfortunately for them, things didn't work out. For whatever reason, either because they had complications, which is very unfortunate. My surgeon said there is a non-zero chance. It's about a 1% chance. And you can kind of like, you can kind of alter those little levers, right? Like, so I had my surgery canceled in November of 2023 because I needed to get my diabetes under control. I'm diabetic, type 1. I take insulin. And my A1C, which is a 3-month average of your blood sugar levels, was at 7.2, which is 0.2 above like the highest. Like 7 is considered high. So I was at 7.2. Right now, interestingly enough, I'm at 9. So these past 2 years it went back up, but I'm bringing it back down. Don't worry. At a certain point, I had to decide, am I willing to do what it takes? And so I did it in a single month. I got it from 7.2 to 6.7. I had to go above and beyond to make this happen. But I made it happen. And so the surgeon eventually, after the holidays, I heard back in January or February, we set a date for March 28th. And I was on edge because I had to maintain that. And at any point it could have been canceled again. But I had the surgery March 28th, 2024. And I can never go back, and I'm glad. I'm one of the lucky ones. You know, when you have a 99% of chance, there's most likely a case that you're going to get lucky. Okay, but there's always a 1% chance. Nothing is 100%. They think too much and act too little. Why are you so open-minded from mouth and head? I don't know what that means. Yeah, taking action is what matters. But at some point, you know, you do need to think. You do need to think. A lot of these people online, they don't actually touch grass. They talk about they're the same kind of person who reads the newspaper. They read something on the news, or, you know, they read something on their phone in the morning and it makes them mad, but they actually don't know what they're talking about. They don't actually live the experience that these people live. They just have a whole bunch of opinions in their head that are just like, it's a bunch of ideas just floating around. It's just like how you think about, like, oh yeah, I watch all these videos about working out. Like, dude, you don't have to like go to the gym for like 5 hours a day. But if you just watch like videos all the time and you don't actually do even like the bare minimum, like I do squats every morning. I always start every day doing something. I get up, I go outside, I look at the sunlight, maybe not directly for a split second, but you know, you look up in the sky to get some blue light into your eyes, get some sun on your skin for like 5 minutes. Okay. Who reads the newspaper? Everybody reads the newspaper. It doesn't have to literally be the newspaper, but you read the news on like your YouTube channel, like people who go over Twitter, and like, you know, like people who, you know, you read the news every day. You hear something and it just triggers you, but it's like you're not grounded in reality at that moment. You're grounded in your thoughts, and your thoughts are not reality. Your thoughts are just thoughts. And if you really think about it, if you look at the reality, the actual empirical evidence, trans people are not ruining society. Like we're like 2% of the population, maybe 3% at best, possibly 4%, but various degrees. Like if you include non-binary people and people who are just like questioning things, like there's like probably about 4% of the population. Okay, that is a lot of people compared to 8 billion, right? Somebody really likes the bassoon. Anyway, you do coloring in when you're drawing and it feels like art class. See, I'm really glad. That's why I like doing my live streams. It creates an environment where people are motivated to take action. I can't guarantee that, but there's going to be a certain percentage of people that do. So that's why I like streaming. That's why I like making content, because I know that I'm doing something instead of doing nothing. Somebody is watching my stream for better or for worse, and it's somewhat motivating them to take some kind of action. I have that energy. I have that vibe. I've had situations where when people talk with me in person, I have like an energy that inspires people to take action, because I take action, because I radiate like action. I may not be the best. I may not be very effective all the time. But I take action. Like, you know, you have to start with marching in place for 1 minute a day before you can go to the gym for a couple hours. Right? If you don't, how are you supposed to run a mile if you can't even walk for 1 minute in place? Like, even like while you're watching YouTube, just get up out of your chair and start walking, right? Transracial? I don't even want to get into that. That's like a whole other that's a whole different can of worms. We're not going to get into that. think that's a minute. That's probably a little more than a minute. I just wanted to be safe. See, you see what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who all they have to do is walk in place for 1 minute a day, but they choose not to. That's the difference between people who succeed and people who don't succeed. Okay, I've succeeded at many things. I know people are gonna roll their eyes at that. They only see what they want to see. But I have succeeded at many things. And in fact, one of the biggest problems in my life, which is my housing situation, is about to be fixed. I don't know exactly when, but it's really close. It's really close. I have, at this moment, at least 2 very huge potential options that might be new housing. Making your bed in the morning. Yeah, I mean, that's also a thing, but I think people get too stuck on the specifics. People say like, oh, you need to make your bed in the morning. Like, okay, but if you're just forcing yourself to make the bed in the morning, now you're just doing things out of compulsion, which is good if you want to succeed, but like making your bed, it's like, it's the idea of it. The fact that you're doing something with intention. The fact that you're, and like, so that's a start. You're starting your day with that. Like, it's really important. Honestly, first of all, you don't want to make your bed right away. You want to air out your blankets, because otherwise you get like bed bugs. Because bacteria in the, like, because it's been on your body all night, right? You have all your body back, like the bacteria is just like kind of fermenting, and you want to like, air out the blankets. There's also a German word, I think it's like lufting. You want to open all the windows in your house in the morning, even during the cold winter, just to get all the fresh air, all the stale air out and get fresh air in. Just airing everything out. It boosts your mood. But yeah, making your bed, for example, it's because you're taking action, you're starting your day with a win. That's really what you're doing, but some people get stuck in that they just think that they need to make their bed or they're a failure. And that can like drive you crazy. Cause then when you miss a day, you feel shit. Like, you feel shitty. Because you're holding yourself up to a standard where if you fail to make your bed, you're a failure. Those are the pitfalls that can happen with that kind of thinking. But it's not about making your bed. It's not about working out. It's not like, it's about the overall trajectory. You have like a line. If you look at your YouTube analytics, for example, you see that you're gaining subs. Sometimes you gain less subs, but it's overall going up. Like, right? You look at the big picture. Maybe on a day-to-day basis, sometimes it's really up here, sometimes it's like a little bit down here. Eventually, it kind of gets into a baseline. Every now and then, the baseline goes up a little, and then it goes up. Like, overall, you're going up. That's what matters. And I know it's really hard. I'm 38 years old. It's taken me these past 6 years of my life of deliberate effort to get to this understanding. I guess 6.5 years at this point. That's when I started going to therapy. That's when I started transitioning. 2 years ago, I finished all my surgeries, and now I'm about to get housing. I have been working on this problem intensively for the past 6.5 years, but I've been working on this problem technically for 20 years that I've been an adult. You trade stocks and shares? Yeah, you don't look at the little teeny day-by-day things. If you're a day trader, you know what I'm talking about, Dubcon. People who do day trading, unless you're like, you have so much money you don't care, you're chasing that high of like, oh, I want to make $100,000 today. Like, that's not how it works. Most people, they look at the trends over time, and they treat it more as a long-term like investment. You're making small gains. You're like, every year, if you go up at like a percentage point every year, then you're doing good. Like you're trying to like, this is like your investment money. You're not trying to make $100,000 so you don't have to have a job anymore that year or whatever. Like you're not trying to make $1 million as quick as possible so that you don't have to, so that you could quit your job. Like that's bullshit. You're risking everything for like potential gains that are probably not going to work. So you cut off healthy parts. It's not really, okay, I encourage you, Just Human. I'm going to give you a little bit of a benefit of the doubt that you're genuinely curious. I encourage you to look into this surgery and research it honestly. Like actual medical information, not what you hear on Reddit. Go into like medical research about this surgery. I'm going to type it in chat. Yeah. So robotic assisted peritoneal flap primary vaginoplasty. So there is like there is like secondary vaginoplasty, which is like what they do, because they do this surgery for people who are assigned female at birth, who are biologically female. They do these kind of surgeries for other women too, for people who are born women as well. Primary vaginoplasty means that it's literally turning it into a vagina, like male to female. So you trade penny stocks. I do take big risks. But I have enough money to average down and get out of bad trades. Been doing it for 4 years now. I would love to quit my job and do it full time. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You're doing it for, you're gaining experience. You're learning the trends. You're understanding how like the different like press conference things and economy things that change, that people kind of tip the scales with. People who have enough money can tip the scales. Like if you have enough money, like billions, I'm talking about, even probably less if you have enough influence. Like if you own a business or you influence the news, you influence the economy, you can tip the scales in legal ways, like not like insider trading. It's a risky thing because people can always argue that you're doing insider trading. But like people have tipped the scales. These are chess players. They're making moves. Okay, they're the ones who move the economy. They do some press conference and it changes the public opinion, and suddenly people are buying things differently. Yeah, if you have enough money that you can actually, this is like just gambling in general. You should not treat it as an investment. You should not be treating it as your primary, like you should not be treating it as a way to make money. You should be treating it as a side project. Like it's a hobby. Now it can turn into a full-time thing if you're good at it and you can make it last long term, but you have to have the initial investment to be able to do that. So you can't just like, oh, I only make $1,000 a month. I'm going to turn that into $10,000 a month. That is not the way you should be thinking about stocks. It's not a money maker. It's not a get rich quick. You might, but you might lose everything. You may as well be going to the slot machine. Like people who go to the casino and expect to be able to make like an income there are completely lost. Avoiding oil trades, yeah, it's very manipulated because that's why we're okay. I don't want to get into the geopolitics, but there's reasons why these things are happening. Stop loss is my best friend. Yeah, exactly. Some people are smart about it, and people get paid a lot of money for it, and you can get paid a lot more in consulting. So, like, you're not actually trading, you're consulting people who do trade, and you're the one making the money. You're making, like, dedicated, steady money. If you're a consultant, you're working for a consulting firm, suckers, man. They're suckers. They're people with like way too much money on their hands, and they're just throwing it away on stocks. But you understand the market, you understand the trends, and they're going to pay you like a consultation fee. So you're getting paid regardless of whatever their stocks do. So you're making the real investment. You didn't want to fund war? Yeah, I mean, I think taking the morality out of the equation, I understand that. I respect that, Debcon. I would not judge you for not wanting to invest in oil and stuff. But I feel like taking away, I feel like attaching moral value to money is a dangerous, slippery slope. Because money is money. Humans are the ones that cause problems. And because money can do good, but money can also do bad. I feel like it's a neutral. It depends on who uses it. And if you don't want to put money into something that you feel is evil, that's your decision. But some people, you know, they have done different type of calculation. They feel that if they understand how to make money, then more of that money will come back to them. And then when they have the money, they can use that money to counter it. Like invest in education. Invest in things that typically don't make money, right? Like renewable energy, which might change, might make more money over time. But, you know, stuff like oil and stuff like that makes more money in the short term. But stuff that like education and like renewable energy and all sorts of, you know, things that are good, like, you know, like medicine, like things that are really good for humanity are sometimes a money sink. In fact, I think most of the time they're a money sink. And if you want to play the stock market so that you can increase your spending power and then put that money into things that you truly value, and you can do that significantly enough, then you could argue that you're actually not funding war, you're funding education, you're funding medicine, because you're investing in it. When it does well, you sell, it goes back to you, and then you put it where you want. That's really what you're doing. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, I respect that, Dubcon Gaming. I'm a little bit more big picture. I'm not going to make a judgment on you. And I'm not even saying that I'm better than you. I'm probably part of the problem. But I see money as a bigger picture kind of thing. I don't really have any huge. There are certain things that are like deliberately evil that I will not, you know, do. But there are things that are a little bit more of a gray area. Like right now I'm streaming on YouTube and I'm streaming on Twitch. I wouldn't want to say that either of these companies have humanity's best interest in mind. However, it has the potential to lift me up. And when I lift myself up, I also can lift others up. So I'm using it to improve my life, which can improve other people's lives. I could be using it to tear people down. But I'm not. So it is what you make it. And I think, you know, obviously everybody has the right to completely boycott it, and that's their right. I would not judge them for that. But I would hope that people don't judge me for partaking in an evil platform, right? People say, like, you know, stuff like Google and Amazon, they do have like really questionable business practices, and they do not have humanity's best interest in mind. They have their bottom line in mind. The algorithm is designed to keep you glued to their platform. However, if I can even carve out a little bit of a positive space in that, then I feel like that has a little bit more of a positive impact. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm coping, but I had to make my choice. I've been on social media for 26 years. I think it'd be better if I lean into it rather than avoid it. That was my decision. It may be a wrong one, but it's the decision I made. I'm going to try to make my life better instead of avoiding it, because I don't think I can do it without it. I've been on social media for 26 years. I have a very special brain that is attuned. It's just not quite optimized. There's a couple of things that need to be tweaked. But I have a brain that is completely optimized for being able to manipulate this market. And I need to take advantage of it so I can get ahead. And I know that it's selfish, but you have to be selfish sometimes. Especially when it comes to earning a living, making money. Now, that being said, I am able to make a living even if I didn't have a job. I don't want to settle for that, because it's just the bare minimum, and I don't want to be at the mercy of government assistance, because government assistance can always change. with politicians. And that is very unstable. And unfortunately, I have to rely on it right now. They're the ones who are going to get me out of this situation. They're the ones who are going to, get me into a new home and give me the foundation so that I can build something, because I need a foundation to build from. I can't build from where I am right now. It's not going to work. Like, yeah, we're talking right now on YouTube. The fact that I have people to talk to on my live stream, that is something, but this is not anywhere near where it needs to be. I need to be having a healthy life. I need to have a stable baseline. I need to be able to have the creative energy to build what I want to build and to put myself out there and to, gain some advantage in this world. Beyond just content creation, but also understanding the market and being able to profit. Those are two things that are not really there at this time. You want to get super rich so I can escape society and build my own castle? Here's the thing. You have every right to do that. And there are people out there that will call you part of the problem. And I think they're being unreasonable. Because life is hard. And I would not judge somebody for succeeding and deciding to just withdraw from society. You earned it. It's your decision. You don't owe anybody anything. And you need to take care of your own. Whether it's yourself or your family. This world is so harsh. I do not blame anyone for making their coin and then, piecing out. I do not blame anyone for doing that. I'm probably going to do it. I'm not going to judge anyone else. What, for some imaginary moral value? Touch grass. Life is hard. Life is painful. Life is punishing. If you can succeed and peace out, Jesus fucking Christ, you better do it. Because they're going to pull you down at any opportunity they can. Okay? So, I think it's good when people are able to help others. I want to try to help others, but if push comes to shove, I'm not going to sacrifice my own safety and my own life at my expense so I can possibly help others. I'm going to say I need to get to a stable enough baseline that then I can afford to help others. And that's not going to happen without money. And so sometimes you have to kind of become a quote unquote part of the problem in order to actually help people, because we live in a real world. We don't live in an imaginary world that is perfect, that, we're on social media 24/7 and we have all these ideas about what a perfect world is supposed to look like. All these social justice warrior types. Okay. They have this perfect image of what is morality. You don't live in the real world. You live in your head. And in the real world, it's messy. People get fucked. And I'm not going to blame somebody for making a few bucks and protecting themselves. I'm sorry, but I do not have a moral issue with making money. Some people are going to be short-sighted, and they're going to think that making money on social media is part of the problem, and they're really just coping because they feel good about themselves. They feel like they're doing activism, but really what they're doing is they're just making excuses and they're blaming other people instead of taking action themselves. And because they have not been able to succeed financially, they want to tear people who have down. Good night. I hope you have a great day too. Not Nizumi. You live in the UK, they're starting to tax pensions next month. My parents worked their whole life to retire, so they're paying tax twice. Exactly. This is why, I'm not going to judge anybody for going above and beyond to succeed and then to tap out. You won. You didn't just win Tutorial Island. You went above and beyond and you won life. It's your decision what you do with your money, and I'm not going to judge you. And maybe it took me a lot to get to this point. But once you see reality, you start to see how ridiculous it is that all these social justice warriors online are. These are people who don't leave their bedroom. They're on their computer or on their phone, coming up with all these opinions based on their own mind. They don't think about reality. They might themselves be already financially stable. They've never had to worry about paying rent their entire life. They've never worried about getting food on the table. And they're complaining about people using, like, oh, you're funding evil whenever you use this platform, as they're using a platform that they're complaining about. You're literally using these platforms to complain about these platforms. I'm sorry, but these people are part of the problem because they're not even doing anything. They're just trying to tear people down. They're trying to cancel people. They're trying to get people to stop doing what they're doing that they know works. If you can make money, do it. Money is hard. You need money to live. And if people can make money and get successful, who cares what they do with it? It's not yours. It's theirs. Yeah, we got this. Peace out, Debcon. Yeah, so like if you can make enough money to not have to worry about, obviously taxes are going to affect everybody, but once you've paid all your taxes, if you make enough money, unless you're greedy, you really don't need more, okay? But in order to get to that point, like most people never get to that point. So I'm not going to check out until it's completely safe. And like beyond completely safe. Like whatever I think is safe to tap out, I'm going to do like 10 times more than that. You're not going anywhere? Oh, sorry, I read the wrong message. Nizumi was the one that was leaving. When you said you knew you gotta go, I thought you said you gotta go. But yeah, basically, I think it's so easy to judge others when you don't even have to face the same problems they do. And I've learned this a lot. And it took me going for my surgeries to understand this. But ironically, a lot of these people are people who are trying to get what I got, but instead of doing the work I did, they complained on the internet. And I understand. I'm not going to judge them for that because they're in situations I don't understand. See, this goes both ways. These people are dealing with things that I never had to deal with. They're not in California. They're in different states. They're in states that are taking away options for them. They're in different countries where being trans is not helped. They don't get surgeries in their country or in their state, and they have to work like 10 times as hard as I did. I don't blame them, but I do know what I had to go through, and I know that a lot of these people, there's probably a lot of people who are in my exact same shoes, who are in California or a comparable place, who are, instead of doing the hard work, they go online and complain about it. They could be taking action, but instead they're trying to tear other people down. And those people I will never support. I don't care if you're trans. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're straight. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're black. If you're trying to tear other people down because you're mad at the world for not getting what you need, you're part of the problem. Because I'm somebody who took action. I went to the doctor. I did everything the doctor told me to. I went through the bureaucratic hoops. I went through the denials. I went through the process. I kept getting back up. I kept working on myself, and I made it happen. And I'm not saying that everybody can make it happen, but I'm saying that if it's not, you might not be responsible for all the problems that happen to you, but it is your responsibility to get out of it. And I know this is really hard, and I have problems that I am trying to still overcome. One of these is that housing situation. But here's the thing. I got myself connected to the resources that are getting me out of it. Nobody forced me to. I had to do it. I did talk about it online, but I took action. And I know it's hard for people to accept this because all they see when they see me online, all they see is the complaining. But they also don't see all the actions that are happening behind the scenes. And so I understand that. That's why I don't really think about other people too much. Like, because obviously if somebody is going online under an anonymous username with an anime profile picture and they're complaining that somebody is playing Hogwarts Legacy, I'm sorry, but you're part of the problem more so than that other person. If you think Hogwarts Legacy is a problem, like Harry Potter is a huge part of culture. Regardless of what you think about J.K. Rowling, honestly, there are parts I like about her and there are parts I don't. I don't like what she's become. She's kind of become an internet troll. I hope that she gets out of that. She made so much money that she doesn't give a fuck what people think anymore, and she's kind of turned into an internet troll. So is Elon Musk. They kind of turned into internet degenerates. They had all the money in the world, and they still did the same thing that poor people do. Think about that for a second. They have the freedom to do whatever they want in life. They have billions of dollars. Like, these are billionaires. Think about that. These are billionaires who could do whatever they want, and they choose to be degenerate internet trolls. Think about that. They choose to do the same thing that internet losers who don't have a job do. Like, think about that. They have all the choice in the world, and that's what they choose. Think about it. It tells you a lot about things. It tells you that money doesn't fucking matter. It'll just unlock things for you, and you can choose what to do with that. That's what I love about stocks. You only lose money when you sell. If you hold a few days later, you might be green. Yeah, I mean, it's an investment. And as long as you're willing to be patient, you might always come back. You ever go to that Harry Potter land? No, I have not been able to afford things like that. Used to be a massive Elon Musk fan until, I'm good. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan. I think just being a fan of people in general, honestly, even if you're a fan of me, what if I disappoint you? You don't know me. What if I started a business and started using, like, overseas labor? like like, I don't know why. It's funny. It just is. I mean, hey, people are going to cancel me for laughing about that. But I can see the bigger picture. The reason I can laugh is because I understand the seriousness. Do you understand? People who are going to judge me for that and try to cancel me for stuff like that, those people are really part of the problem. And the worst part is that they think they're doing good. They're like, I'm doing social justice. I'm a keyboard warrior. No, you're not. You're making yourself convinced that you're doing something because you're not willing to do the effort to actually take care of your own problems. And you're not even trying to take care of the problems you're fighting for. Because if you really wanted to solve all these problems you fight for, get into government, run for political office, start a business, do whatever you need to. But like, the people who get into actually being able to move the chess pieces in the world, they have money. That's the only common factor. They have money, or they have, like, religious power. Those are the two things. You have to have power. And religious power doesn't necessarily mean, like, religion. It just means, like, you have spiritual sway over people, like a cult, okay? Or like a religion, right? So you either have money, or you have religious power, or you have both. Those are like the things that actually give you meaningful power in the world. You have to have social power, or you have to have financial power. Usually you get the social power through financial power, but not always. There's got to be people, like, who are able to have power without any money. Like, I mean, it's really rare. These are people, I mean, who knows? Maybe there's a conspiracy about the Dalai Lama, but you'd buy all my products? Well, eventually I'm going to be selling makeup and stuff. When I start doing makeup streams, when I'm in my new living situation, I can actually start doing streams that I want to do. I just don't feel like now's the time. I feel like now's the time to keep myself steady. Now's the time to, like, kind of get myself through every day. I think just being a massive fan of people in general is not particularly healthy. I appreciate that you support me, and if you would buy my products, awesome. But honestly, just being here and watching, you're already buying my product. So, like, I've already, to an extent, you're always selling. You're always marketing. The fact that you're still here in my stream chatting, you've made an investment. It's like stocks. Oh yeah, Dalai Lama got a lot of money from the CIA, I've heard. Yeah, certain conspiracies in the chat. Yeah, Dalai Lama actually controls Trump. Yeah, it's the Dalai Lama gate. Okay. I don't know if that's the noise llamas make. Hyped to see the new place. Yeah, I'm excited. I have plans. Don't worry. I do have plans. I have not been sitting here idle. I have big plans. Like, but you got to take it one step at a time. You don't execute plans all at once. I've been doing this for 6 years. I've probably become mentally ill, but hey, look at Elon Musk. Okay, being mentally ill can make you money. It could also make you broke, but, you know, it's not like mutually exclusive or whatever. It's made me mentally ill, but so do people who work like retail, right? You don't work retail because you want to work retail. You work retail because you want to make money. Okay? Money gives you power. And if you can make it, more power to you. You are currently under surveillance by the Iranian Ministry of Defense. Please proceed with caution. Damn. Well, I'm probably under surveillance by every world country. I'm on YouTube. They probably look at everybody who's live. Yeah, so, you know, buy oil. I mean, that's basically the only thing you can say that pretty much doesn't piss off any world governments, right? Buy minerals. Buy oil. Buy oil. You require more Vespine gas. You require more minerals. It's fake. Everything's fake. Everything's fake. Which, if everything's fake, then nothing's fake. Think about it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I try to understand, like, why people do the things they do. I'm a writer. I am a kind of a hobbyist studier of philosophy and psychology. You know, I don't claim to be like an expert. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist, whatever. But I do study human psychology, especially as a writer. I want to write compelling characters that are realistic and believable, that have meaningful reasons to exist. Because honestly, we don't have a reason for existing. We just do. And there's like a survival that comes with that. We're all just basically trying to survive. And one of the ways I've learned how to survive is to just take action. Start doing stuff instead of delaying things. I know it's so hard because people will try to convince you what to do. But my whole life, I've been told by people what I should do. And I tried doing what they did and not doing it too well. But then I just said, you know what? Fuck all of them. I'm going to stay in my own lane and I'm not going to exit. And eventually I started getting things that I needed. And I'm going to eventually start getting things that I want. And you stick with that. And obviously you have like, you know, you have advisors, right? Like people who are going to help you. But in the end of the day, you're the one making decisions. And once I stopped listening to what people told me I should do, and instead doing things that I know I need to do, and just keep doing until it works, and getting the help you need, getting the resources you need that will get you there. Like, yeah, I have a developmental disorder. I have a permanent disability. That's not going to change. And I had to admit and get over my ego that I need help. And so I reached out to resources until I got them. Nobody did it for me. Nobody was ever going to do it for me. Because these resources, even though they exist for people like me, they're not going to go out of their way to connect people with these resources. You have to fight for it. And I did. And I'm about to get housing. Very soon. I'm in the final stages. It's so close. I have no idea exactly how close. I was promised it's not going to take, like, you know, years and years. I was even promised it's not going to take months. So they can't give me an exact promise, but they're constantly finding new providers to give me a home. And They just have to find the right fit so that there's not going to be any problems. Honestly, I'm pretty flexible, and that's really what matters. But here's the thing: I earned it by fighting for it. Even though I qualify for it, it wasn't going to happen unless I fought for it. And there are people who qualify for it that aren't willing to go through everything I went through. So I earned it. They deserve it too, but I earned it. I fought for it, and they didn't. So I'm going to get it, and they're not. I hope they get it. But if it's between me and them, I'm going to choose me every time. I'm going to do what's in my best interest. And people might cancel me for that. But you know, if you're on an airplane and you have children, you put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you put it on the children, because they're not going to be able to do it themselves. They're not going to be able to take care of themselves. It's your responsibility to be responsible for yourself so that you can help others. And that's all there is to it. And a lot of these people online who are trying to constantly cancel people for just, how would you support that person? How could you support that? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, what are you doing? You know, like, you're going around trying to take away people's happiness, trying to take away people's little teeny tiny slice of peace that they have, that they love doing, like video games or whatever, watching a live streamer, watching their favorite YouTuber, whatever, or buying a product that they like. And you're going to try to take away that happiness from them. You're the problem. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're trans. I don't care if you're cisgender. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're black. You're part of the problem if you're going to try to police everybody's likes and dislikes. I know this firsthand, and I know that, like, there's people who don't like trans people, and I'm going to try to do what I can to, like, help them understand, because I have, vested interest in it. But I can't, in the end of the day, I can't change them. I can't. And I can only show them what it's like when people get to be who they are. Like, what harm am I really doing by existing? What good am I doing by existing? I think that's really what matters. I'm doing a lot of good. And it's only getting started. Like, it's only just getting started. You guys have no idea what I have in store. I've been streaming and making content for 6 years. We are just getting started. Okay, we are nowhere near where I want to be. I got stuff in mind. Okay, we got to push. Okay, and I'm not ready to push just yet. I'm biding my time. And the conditions are going to be right, and then I'm going to push. And it's about to happen. I don't know exactly when. You guys will be you guys won't be the first to know, but you guys are gonna know. You guys are gonna be one of the first people to know. But it's easy to make empty promises. It's easy to, talk big, but one day we're gonna walk through that door. I know people have asked about my door. Okay, we've never opened that door before. Okay, one day we're gonna walk through that door, and we're never gonna come back. I appreciate everybody who's been here along the ride for this journey. Okay, gotta finish off this coffee. Eat each other? Nothing matters. Eat each other. Help each other. Rot. Doesn't matter. Whatever the self wills and the fulfillment of that will. You know what, John? You're not wrong. Sometimes you just gotta eat each other. You know, Umbrella Corporation had the right idea. Yeah. Uncancel Umbrella. We need to do a cosplay stream where I'm like part of Umbrella and I'm like trying to give some propaganda, like pro Umbrella propaganda. Like I'm like the CEO of Umbrella or something. Like I'm like in a business suit and I, you know, like with barbecue sauce. Exactly. John gets it. Yeah, so it's like I know that I have kind of an unpopular opinion, and there's a lot of people that I am kind of worried sometimes that I'm gonna get canceled because I'm in like a very, you know, San Francisco Bay Area. It's a little bit more kind of LGBTQ, and I am trans. Sometimes I get genuinely worried that I'm not liberal enough to fit in. That I'm too problematic. But I've also met a lot of LGBTQ people who are on the same page as me. So I think I care more about touching grass. And the people online sometimes feel a lot louder than the majority. In fact, I feel like the minority is the loudest. Like, usually the most problematic people are the loudest. On either side. Most people are pretty reasonable. And they understand that people are nuanced. They understand that life is a gray area. They probably made decisions that if people paid attention to them, they would get canceled for. You're trans too and you're right wing. Yeah, I mean, you have that right. I mean, it's just, you know, I have opinions about that. Because, I mean, you have two choices really for politics. Why would I choose the side that wants to get rid of my rights? And I am not saying this lightly. If it were up to them, they would line us up and put us on trains and bring us to a death camp. But they can't do that politically. And they want to be able to do that. Do you understand? Like, why would I side with a political faction that wants that? So that's why I'm kind of more moderate. I'm somewhat conservative in some values. Like, I do feel like the internet's out of control and we should not allow children under a certain age. I don't know when that age is. That's up for debate. But I feel like children should not be on social media. 10-year-olds should not be on Instagram. I know that's like kind of a more conservative opinion. I think it's a little bit I think it's pretty bipartisan, actually. I don't think children should be online. And this is spoken from somebody who was online since I was 12. Okay, I think out of anybody, I'm probably one of the people who has the most evidence of like why children should not be on social media. And it's even worse now than it was when I was a kid. Okay, the algorithm is specifically feeding people into propaganda and radicalizing people and getting people to stay on their platforms and buy their products. I don't think children should be on social media. There are reasons why social media access can be beneficial. For example, there was a case, I mean, yeah, there's obviously going to be outliers. There was a case, I don't remember exactly where, but there was like a middle school teacher, like a gym teacher who was doing things inappropriate. I don't want to give details because I don't like talking about that kind of stuff, but I'm going to say like he was doing, I think you can imagine, he was doing something inappropriate with students, and the kids would collect evidence and talk about it on Discord, and then they gave that evidence to the police. So, I mean, there is something about social media empowering youth, but I feel like that, you know, that's few and far between. 10-year-olds should not be on Instagram. Okay, people are pushing like OnlyFans. I would know. Like, you know, I want adults. My audience is generally like 25 to 35. Or, you know, I mean, I think it's like actually a little bit bigger. Like it's 25 to like, actually, I think like 30 to 55 is like my primary audience. Based on my analytics. And it makes sense. I'm a bit more mature. I'm a little too boring for the younger people. I'm an older millennial. Like I'm not in the total edge of it, but I'm like right at the beginning of when, you know, I was born in 88. So, you know, I'm like an older millennial. I kind of appeal to people my age. You know, I don't really appeal to the younger people. I don't do skibbity stuff. You know, I'm not like 6'7", right? You know, I don't appeal to that audience. You know, I'm not like Kai Cenat. You know, I'm not like loud equals funny, you know. Lesser of two evils. Yeah, the lesser of two evils, the problem with two-party system. Yeah, and the lesser of two evils is still evil, right? I don't particularly like Democrats. I don't particularly like Republicans. You know, you can't really trust government, period, no matter how perfect it is. Even if we had a theoretically perfect government, you just can't. It's fundamentally overpowered because it has power over people. Like, it's just fundamentally imbalanced. You're a 90s kid? Yeah, 90s kid. 90s kid over here. You know, calling collect to get picked up from school and hanging up the phone. We had like Nokia phones, like the simple phones when I was 14. You know, when I was like 13, I got a phone for Christmas, but it literally, it was like a Nokia. It could play Snake and Tetris. And I was kind of like, it was basically only I could call my mom. You know, like, I didn't have any friends to call. I was like, hey, now I have a phone. Now all my friends can call me. ... I didn't have any friends. You can't tell if this is a podcast great setup. It kind of is a podcast setup, to be honest, but from a personal level, this setup is not doing good for me. I need more freedom in my life. Honestly, I could probably even set up a fake setup to have this exact background. When I move out, I could like set up a fake background. Like set up props, you know, like a stage to like look like this. But I'm gonna experiment with my new living situation, and I'm gonna make a better situation. It's gonna be better. Whatever you guys think about my setup, it's gonna be better. I'm gonna work on it. Nights into Dreams, if you set the clock of the dream cast to Christmas, it makes it Christmas themed. Oh yeah! I don't know if you're making that up or not, but I kind of remember that. And maybe you're gaslighting me. Nokia 33110, yeah. I have personal opinions. I don't think anybody below like 13, like, and that's a more liberal number. But I think 13, maybe you can be on social media. But at the same time, I honestly don't think anybody should be on social media like until they're like 18. Maybe 16 so they can get their feet in the water without as much repercussions. Because here's how I also think about it. Wouldn't you rather people make mistakes when they're younger rather than when they're adults? Because if you make a mistake and you're like in your 20s and you didn't have the practice when you were like 16, it can have lifelong consequences, and you might overdo it, right? So like if you don't let people go on social media until they're 18, maybe they're going to go too far because they've been, you know, held back for too long. And then when they start doing it, either they're going to sneak out. It's like trying to prevent kids from like playing video games, right? You can like, you know, make a stand and like not have video games in your household. But at some point, your kids are going to go hang out with their friends, or someone's going to bring a Game Boy to school, right? So you can't like, you can like outlaw something for your personal household, but you're not going to stop your kids from doing something. And sometimes when you push them away from it, it pushes them further. It pushes them further into it in an unhealthy way. So I don't know. I'm never going to have kids. I don't want to have kids. People are going to get mad about that. They're going to say, "Oh, but you might change your mind." It's like, fuck you. I got my reproductive organs removed. Fuck off. I don't need you to make decisions for me. I never want kids. If I wanted kids, first of all, if I did change my mind, there's a thing called adoption. Or people already have kids and I could be their partner. Okay, so like there's already kids. If you want, you don't have to make new ones. Okay, but I don't want to raise kids. I don't want to have kids. I don't ever want to be around kids. They're high pressure. The people who should have kids usually don't, and the people who shouldn't have kids usually do. And unfortunately, because of free speech, and it's problematic to try to force people to do something, you know, like to force people to control whether or not people should have kids or not. That would be a gross overstep. It would be a gross violation of people's personal rights. But some people should not have kids. And I know that I would not be able to handle that kind of pressure. It's the most difficult job on the planet. It's the highest pressure job on the planet. And the only people who feel that are people who actually could do it. The people who don't feel that don't give a fuck. Oh.